today, we're talking about the feeling of not being good enough, feeling like I'm the only one in the room doubting myself while everyone seems to have it all put together. Hi, and welcome back to Heart of the Case or Social Work Scrapbook. If you're watching on YouTube, you may also be watching on Spotify. And if you are, please review. Anyone listening on Apple, stars. That's all I need is stars so that we can get in front of even more soon to be social workers or just people in general that need a boost of confidence to navigate through self-doubt. Practical strategies are coming up for sure. But first, before we dive into the heart of the topic, I want to give you a little update on where I'm at professionally. I have left my school social work role. I was a school social worker and school-based therapist for over a decade. So about a dozen years. And I just made a huge shift into higher education. And so I'm working specifically with a brand new component of the social work program at UTSA. It has had a master's level program that's been dynamic for years and years, but the BSW program is just rolling out. In fact, the BSW students are just heading into field this fall of 2025, and I will be their practicum instructor. So I'm so excited to be doing this. So I shared this over with y'all on stories on Instagram, and I got so many questions, and I want to run through a few of those. I really think this might be a whole series because the questions I got are so good. She asked just generally, did I ever think I'd pivot to higher education? Do you think you'll be there for a while? I always kind of felt like I was meant for higher ed. I love trainings. I love conferences. I started speaking at many conferences, and I love holding space for all of that. So it's not too far-fetched for me, and I do see myself here for a while. It's really been wonderful to see social work from a brand new lens, and I get to do that every single day with the students that I work with. Someone was asking about the pay. It is relatively equal to what I was making as a school social worker. Was I wanting more? Of course, everybody wants more. Everyone deserves more. That's part of my journey right now. And that's a big reason why I made the switch, because I know this question came up a lot. Like, what happened? What was going on? I wasn't necessarily burned out from school social work. It really, truly was my dream role. But I did feel like I had hit a ceiling, so to speak, as far as my salary and what I could possibly be making there. And I decided, at this point in life, higher ed, I feel like there's more prospect to grow professionally and develop and possibly go for a PhD. And so there's just so many more routes and avenues that I kind of felt opened up with this new role. And so that's why I just kind of took that big step out of my comfort zone. Someone asked, will you still have summers off? Unfortunately, no. That's one of the cons to this new role. But I don't know how that's going to look. I'm told that summer will slow down quite extensively, but I don't know how that looks. I'm used to having about a month and a half off every single year. And someone asked, have you felt sadness or mixed emotions with leaving your past job and starting something new? So many emotions, so many. Being a Pisces, I am always a bundle of emotions, always. I'm just very empathic and I feel things so deeply. And so I did unpack that in an episode, not necessarily because I don't think I had announced it yet, but I did unpack how to start fresh and attract positivity. And this year has felt heavy for so many reasons, just on a global national scale. And so that episode is episode 14. So many other questions. Can you share your journey on how you got to this moment? Leading up to it was, in a lot of ways, my YouTube space and channel, Social Work Scrapbook, because I love taking social work interns and then started sharing YouTube videos for social work students and prospective social workers out there. And so I created this beautiful community here, and I felt like it really led me into, and it's a big part of my journey into higher education and being able to impact students in an actual program. A great question from Artie Photo was, what jersey am I going to be wearing this football season? It's not really a question. I will always and forever bleed burnt orange, and it's always a hook 'em horns for me. Another question was, how do I feel about this new role? Right now, it's just a lot of learning, and there's a lot of overwhelm. And that's what steps me into this topic of imposter syndrome and self-doubt and how that all rolls into our confidence. And I do want to share some strategies for sure that have helped me that can help you as well. And honestly, stepping into something new was not an easy decision, but it was a decision that I had in mind for a while. So someone over on Instagram had asked, how did I decide when it was time? Because this person is currently feeling and debating on leaving their own job, and you might be there as well. Like I mentioned, this is not something that just was from one day to the next. It's something that was kind of brewing and building within me. And so ultimately, I decided it was time when I was able to evaluate how I wanted to see my life evolve and grow. It wasn't easy to figure out the timing of this. Honestly, I had been applying for different roles and nothing really felt right. Nothing was really landing. This BSW coordinator role was something that I came across in an email, and I just felt myself get like a spark. A spark grew in me. Like, what could I do? How could I grow in this role? I definitely love supporting young social workers, and it kind of lit a little fire in me. And so it took a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction to even apply. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do this real quick without thinking. I didn't want to give myself too much time to overthink it and squash the dreams that were starting to develop as part of this little flame that was burning inside me. And I just submitted it, and a few months later, I was called back, and just it was a whirlwind. Someone asked what that application and interview process was like. It was pretty daunting because I hadn't been in an interview type of situation for over a decade. It was two interviews, one virtual interview, one in-person interview, and then I also had to give like a lecture, so to speak, on myself and how I fit with the mission and the background of UTSA. And so luckily all of that really paid off, but it really was a bit nerve-wracking. Someone else was asking what was my favorite part of being a school social worker, and that answer will always and forever be the students, the children and adolescents, the young people that I got to connect with, that I got to see grow and develop even small social skills or small bits of confidence. And just knowing that I know I'm planting seeds. It was few and far between that I got to see like my little seed grow into a tree, but I'm not going to say I never did. I definitely got to see some of my students grow and give me hugs on their during senior year and kind of see them make it through. And so that's always the heart of what I do, is always the children, the students. And I'm kind of there still. I'm really connecting right now with my students that are at this BSW level, and forming those relationships and building rapport with them as I would with clients. And it's very nice to be part of their journey. Someone wanted to know if it was an easy decision for me to leave school social work. And because of those young people, no, it wasn't easy. I knew it was time. And when you start talking to your clients, I was a school-based therapist and social worker. When you start talking to your clients and students, and it's a lot of the messages that you have been needing to hear yourself and that you're not putting into practice yourself, something happens. There's a misalignment that you start feeling. I noticed that I started talking to them a lot, and this was just the theme of what would come up in our sessions about taking chances and stepping out of their comfort zone and being ready for new challenges and not being afraid. As I was starting termination with a lot of my clients that I had had for about a year and a half, it was time to kind of start closing those doors anyway. And I kind of started feeling misaligned, thinking, I am not taking my own advice, and this is great advice, and I think I needed to hear what I just said out loud. And that's actually how I terminated with a lot of my students, especially the older students, was just letting them know that our sessions were really helpful for myself. And I've learned about myself through every client that I meet with, honestly, and thanking them for being a part of my growth journey because it is a therapeutic relationship. And so many of the students, one of my students, I still call them my students. One of my students said something so profound, a young person that I really have been trying to get them to realize their potential and step into um, uh, challenges that I know they can surpass and I know that they can definitely conquer because sometimes they sell themselves short. And I just love that this young person turned to me and tells me at the end of session, maybe I'll see you at UTSA one day. And I get emotional even thinking about that because just hearing them say this, oh my God, it was so beautiful. I didn't have to prompt at it or anything like that. It was just a thought that came to them, and I love that for them. And it honestly threw me aback because usually I'm the one, you can do it. You can do higher ed. You can go to college. You can definitely do this and that. And I didn't have to do that. They had done it all on their own. I think they even caught themselves by surprise when it slipped out. And of course, I definitely agreed and confirmed and pulled that strength out as far as the growth that I've seen, which is what you do during termination. So, long answer to basically share that it was definitely not easy, only because my heart is truly with this type of work with young people. And then I did receive some interesting questions that also rolled in, were also just based off of going back to school, right? Being in your 40s and first generation and wanting to start a BSW program, right? Advice for that, and also tips for preparing for their practicum placement, all those things that are more towards the role that I'm developing now. And I'm excited to dive into those questions. I won't do that today in this video. I think that's a whole nother series that I definitely can bring this way to the channel, maybe to social work scrapbook, since it's more social work specific. And I like to keep Heart of the Case to those that are just kind of maybe needing a little bit of a social work brain break. We talk a lot about lifestyle and how to balance working in helping professions or being a caretaker, being a guardian or a parental figure to someone, and balancing it all. And that's really what this episode is about. So it might be a little bit longer because I am about to launch into self-doubt, which is something that we all face, social work or not, right? We are going to face self-doubt, and I want to share practical strategies that will help in turning self-doubt into confidence. So I just want to thank you so much for your questions that rolled in. Again, if you have others and you just want to hear more about my journey, we can come back for a little deeper dive of a Q&A. But since I know I'm not the only one that has battled that sneaky voice of self-doubt that is in all of us, I want to give 3, maybe 4 digestible strategies, starting with number 1, which is name it and then frame it. I'm thinking if you're a Housewives fan, name them. Name them. So one is to acknowledge, name them. Name your doubts without judgment. Don't judge the doubts that are coming up. Get them, label them, get them out on the table. And now with them all out on the table, you can practice cognitive reframing. If you are in mental health or a social worker, cognitive reframing may sound very familiar to us. There are things that we talk to our clients all the time, all about, right? But this is turning, I don't know what I'm doing, turning statements like that, quote unquote, I don't know what I'm doing, into I'm learning something new. Right? It's switching from a limited mindset to a growth mindset, so to speak. But first, the scary part about that is literally naming those doubts and giving them life, so to speak. Sometimes we try to avoid them, and this doesn't work. They only grow when we're avoiding it. But what I've learned throughout my life is what we focus on grows, right? And so we almost have to give a sense of, so it's not to name them and talk about them and dwell on them, but it's to give them their space. And then that helps us to work through them so that they're not constantly taking space and away from the confidence that is also there, but being pushed. And so that takes me into strategy number two, which is borrowing confidence. Lean on those around you, lean on your support system, lean on mentors, lean on past wins, even affirmations. And I go so far to say the music that I was listening to as I decided to take this huge leap, as I've been in the past few weeks of learning something new and feeling doubt around every corner, even the music I listened to was very affirming, very positive. I recently went to the Kendrick Lamar concert, the Grand National Tour. Oh my gosh, he has a song and I just have to plug it here. It's not the one you're thinking. It's called Man at the Garden. It is filled with affirmations. It also has like a drum beat to it. It is so enlightening, so beautiful. So if you are literally needing those affirmations, it's in music everywhere. Ariana Grande's often sings about affirmations too, but I wanted to share that. Man at the Garden, so, so good. So borrowing that confidence is so super crucial. I know we're used to being that role for others. As a social worker, a helper, or guardian or caretaker, oftentimes we're the people that others lean on. And it's so important though to lean on our support network when we need it, just to borrow, or even reflecting on our own past wins. The third strategy is you on your own practicing micro-bravery. Stick with me here because micro-bravery is really pushing yourself in like mini tiny ways. So like volunteering to speak at a meeting when maybe you typically don't speak up as much, or applying to something you're unsure of, like the way I just sent the application and didn't look back. Pushing yourself in these small, tiny ways starts adding up and build your self-confidence beyond what you're expecting sometimes. Also, it's action. So even though it's small or not, we build confidence through action. There is no other way to build confidence other than doing it scared, honestly, and not waiting for confidence to just develop because it won't. It will not. And the fourth strategy that I have is building a confidence archive. That is what Social Work Scrapbook is. If you are able to peruse my Instagram account or even here in the vlogs at Social Work Scrapbook on YouTube, you will see it is a highlight reel. And that's what I try to tell people so much when they say, how do you make it look so easy? It's a highlight reel. I make it look fun. It looks easy. It looks enjoyable. Not every day is like that, but it is my confidence archive. It is filled with small wins that add up and help me build my confidence. That's always been my secret. I'm not saying you have to take photos and pictures and vlog and edit and do all the things, but as simple as keeping a journal. That's something I'm really trying to get back to as well for myself is journaling. Holding on to keepsakes or reviewing those keepsakes if you hold on to them already. I am not a scrapbooker by any means. I don't have scrapbooks, but I do keep almost everything. That's why I started taking photos and posting on Instagram since 2017, is because these reflecting back on letters and notes and cards from colleagues and past students and clients really helps to build confidence. It helps me when I'm not feeling my best to know that other people truly have seen my light and have felt my impact, because it's natural to doubt yourself, especially when you're trying something new. And so whenever doubt is creeping in, going back and remembering and reminding ourselves of that impact that has already been made is crucial to do. One more little bonus tip in here is that confidence isn't about having all the answers. Please, please don't think everything has to be aligned and set in stone and ready to go, because then you'll be waiting forever. And that is self-sabotage, my friend, waiting and waiting for things to be perfect. Perfectionism, I've learned as a recovering perfectionist, is a way of self-sabotage, is a way of holding you back. So you don't have to have all the answers. It's truly about trusting yourself enough to figure things out as you go. And if I know you and you're here on Social Work Scrapbook or Heart of the Case, you're gonna figure it out. That's what we do. Before I wrap up, I know the direction here at Social Work Scrapbook, if you're watching on YouTube, is a little bit here and there and everywhere. It might be true crime one day and manifestation the next and practicum advice the next day. And so I'm sorry if that's a little dizzying, but we are multifaceted people. And so I thank you so much for being a multifaceted audience out there. I really hope you find these podcasts useful. I know I do. I listen to podcasts much more nowadays as I'm commuting and as I'm walking or washing dishes or doing chores. And so I thought this would be a great way to connect with you. But tell me what you think about that, because I'm not sure. I think I'm going to run a poll on Instagram. But if you're here and kind of connected with me through podcasts first, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Honestly, I need that feedback. So the comments are open down below. And if you listen this far, we got to put an emoji. Let's throw up a little ghost emoji. Why not? We are not letting new things scare us off anymore. It's a little ghost with the tongue out. Let's do that. So I know you're a real one tuning in and listening here. Again, thank you so much. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with a fellow social worker or anyone that might be in need of these reminders to stay confident and stay bold. And if you have any questions about the field or my transition to higher education, keep sending in your questions. I love bringing your heart and your thoughts into this space. New episodes of Heart of the Case air every week on Spotify,